Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our MAC MicroGrant and Matchmaker Microgrant info session. My name is Susan Dernan, and I am the administration lead at the Mississauga Arts Council. Also here today to moderate questions is Sherry Murray, MAC's communications producer. The Mississauga Arts Council is dedicated to enabling the growth of the arts by creating opportunity and connection between artists and residents in Mississauga and beyond. Celebrating our milestone 40th anniversary this year, the Mississauga Arts Council is a registered charity dedicated to accelerating progress toward the attainment of our vision of Mississauga as a vibrant cultural community where arts and culture thrive. Our mission is to empower the arts economy by creating more opportunities and capacity, connecting artists to audiences and each other, and celebrating artists' achievements. We're so excited to be able to share information about Phase 1 of MAC's 2021 MicroGrants and Matchmaker Microgrants, and to answer any questions you may have about these programs. So let's get started. What we're going to talk about, first of all, what are MAC's MicroGrants and Matchmaker Microgrants? General eligibility for all of our microgrants, the deadline to apply for Phase 1, the basics of our judging criteria for both the microgrants and Matchmaker Microgrants. Then we'll get into the specific details of the current microgrant opportunities in Phase 1. So right now we have 4 funding streams: Dance on Film, Touring Words of Meaning, a new MAC-funded Fusion grant, and then our Matchmaker Microgrants. And then following that, we'll get into questions. So we have a busy day, so bear with me. Okay, what are MAC MicroGrants and Matchmaker Microgrants? MAC's dynamic and impactful microgrant program provides funding for artist-led projects, which have a pronounced and impactful connection to the public and bring recognition and increased awareness to the arts across our city. So our MAC Microgrants, this engaging program provides $2,000 to $7,000, depending on the project, to new artist-led projects. These microgrants target areas of interest within the local arts sector or encourage collaboration across artistic practices by fully funding projects that grow the arts sector or specific arts disciplines. And then our Matchmaker Microgrant program is a little bit different. This program is designed to help artists complete a project or provide career development support. An artist can receive up to $2,500 in matching funds for money raised by sponsorship, investment, and in-kind contributions by the artists themselves. And these grants particularly encourage artists to be a bit more entrepreneurial. You can learn more about all of our programs. This link here, the mississaugaartscouncil.com/microgrants, it has all the information and more. Okay, so Phase 1, general eligibility. Each of our grants has its own sort of criteria of what it's looking for within the application. But generally with our grants, we have some guidelines as well. So who can apply to MAC Microgrants? Applications are open to individual professional artists or unregistered groups and collectives. MAC's definition of a professional artist means that you have or will receive payment for your art or artistic services. Something to note, we particularly have focused on individuals and unregistered groups because incorporated groups can apply for funding elsewhere, and we really want to support artists at the base level. The next criteria is geography. So applicants must be Mississauga residents or work in Mississauga. So that means that their studio or their work location is in Mississauga. The focus of any projects that you apply for must be focused on arts and culture in the community and follow the guidelines listed in each particular category. Multiple applications. So as an applicant, you can apply for 1 project per application phase. This is to allow sufficient opportunities for all to apply and receive funding. And this was a little vague, so I just want to give a little more context. So this means as an artist, you can apply in Phase 1 with 1 project. if you're unsuccessful with that project, then you can apply again in phase 2 with the same project. If you apply in phase 1 with a project and you're successful, awesome, we're really excited for you. And then there's 2 outcomes. One is that you complete your project before phase 2, and then in phase 2, you can apply with a new project. And the third one would be your successful application in phase 1, but the project doesn't complete in time for the phase 2 applications. And that means that you would not be able to apply again in phase 2. And that's because with previous MicroGrant and Matchmaker grant winners, you need to complete your project and submit a final report and final budget before you can apply for a new one. So hopefully that clears up the multiple applications. And the other thing, the eligible projects, if you've already applied for a specific project and received funding through us, you can't get more funding for the same project. That's a lot. Maybe there's some questions. Sherry, do we have any questions about that?
This is not about eligibility. It's more so about other questions. So maybe we can come back to these questions in a minute.
Perfect. Okay, let's keep going. So the deadline to apply for all phase 1 applications is Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021, and your application needs to be received by 5 p.m. No late submissions will be accepted. We encourage you to apply early just to make sure it's received. So again, that's our website with more information, and it also has links to all the applications. Just a little note on judging criteria. So all of the applications are collected and then sent to an independent jury to judge the applications. The jury members are selected by MAC and represent a holistic cross-section of the arts community in Mississauga. Jurors are made up of MAC board members, respected artists in the community, and representative from arts groups across the city. And we also try and make sure that anyone on the jury is, arm's length from applications and has not applied in this phase as well. Each grant has its own criteria that it gets marked on, and the specific details can be found in our microgrant guidelines available to download at the microgrant page. The jury will rate the applications from 1 to 5 in a number of criteria categories, and applications with higher scores are more likely to win the grant. The jury will significantly consider the following criteria for all microgrants and matchmaker grants. Projects must show a significant impact on the creative growth and career growth of the artists involved. The projects must show a beneficial impact on audiences in or residents of Mississauga. The project must be an intriguing, valuable, or exciting project. Project schedule, details, work plan, and if applicable, a marketing plan, and the budget must be realistic and complete. Okay, so we're going to go into a few more of the specific details on each of our 4 funding streams right now. So the first one is our Dance on Film microgrant. This is a grant that I believe we've done this for 2 years now, Sherry, is that correct?
1 year. This is the second year.
1 year. Okay, so this is the second year of our Dance on Film microgrant. And last year we had 2 winners, both of which the projects were absolutely outstanding. This microgrant is kindly supported by Rama Gaming Center through the Mississauga Charitable Gaming Association. What we're looking for is for choreographers, dance groups, individual dancers to try and take their dance and put it on film. So we're just taking you off the stage into sort of a digital film realm. There's lots of different things to consider, and video production really offers a new way of showing off your art. The video that you'll create with this grant will be hosted on your digital platform, that's YouTube or Vimeo, and MAC will help with the promotion of it. We're looking for a piece that's at least 5 minutes long and involves at least 4 dancers. The winner, we have one prize of $4,000, and the application form is here. So more information about this grant you can find on our website. That's a little bit about that. So our next grant, Touring Words of Meaning, is also sponsored by Rama Gaming Center through the Mississauga Charitable Gaming Association. This is for a literary grant. And the idea with this one is we're not just going to write down words on paper, we're actually going to present them in public. So, the touring part of it can be limited due to COVID, but whether it's a YouTube presentation or a Facebook Live event or even a Zoom call, there's still ways of getting the words out there into public. In particular with this grant, we want new works to be created, and we need a free performance for an underserved community. The applicant must identify their target audience, and the project should be of interest to that target audience. The applicant should also have a connection to that community. So we have one winner for this grant for a total of $2,500. Our third funding stream right now is a brand new MAC-funded Fusion microgrant. So this one is it's a two-part grant, and the first part is open right now. The second part is going to open in July. So this exciting new Fusion grant will grow partnerships between musicians and visual/digital artists or illustrators to produce an animated music video. In part one, we're doing a call for musicians or music groups to submit a song and a creative brief for the animated music video. Part two, which isn't open yet, but opens in July, is a call for the visual digital artists or illustrators to create an animated music video for the winning song in part one. So for part one, we're going to pick one winning song by one musician group. And what we're looking for in the application for this one is with your song submission, it doesn't necessarily need to have words. It could be an instrumental song. And it was or will be released in 2021. It needs to be the final mastered recording. The song should be 2 to 4 minutes in length, and it cannot currently have a music video. So if you have a live performance of you performing it, that's fine. That doesn't count as a music video. Music video is more the story-driven video with the song. One thing to keep in mind if you are applying for this grant, if the song contains strong language or content that isn't suitable for all ages, it may impact the jury's decision because it limits how we can market the song. Along with your song submission, the musician or music group will also need to provide a creative concept submission. So for this, you should provide a story outline, visual references and concepts, and a marketing plan for your final video. The feasibility of the creative concept will be taken into account during the jury process. So for the winning musician or group for this Fusion grant, you'll receive the free animated music video valued at $4,000. You'll also be able to participate in the jury for part two to pick the illustrator or graphic artist or digital artist who you like the best for your song. Although there's no financial remuneration for the musician music group, the music video will be widely circulated on MAC's website, newsletter, and social media. And the musician or music group gets full rights to the music video with credit given to the artist as appropriate. Although this isn't open yet, I just wanted to go over part two for anyone who's interested. And this is the call for visual digital artists and illustrators. So after we pick the winning song in part one, we're going to put the call out to visual artists, illustrators, and digital artists. In this application, you need to speak to the creative brief provided by the winning song and And there's one artist who will win $4,000 to put together this, this animated music video. So that's coming up in July, and we'll keep you posted as we know more about that one. Are there any questions for these three funding streams? I know I kind of went through them quickly.
I have a question regarding, could you elaborate on quantitative impact in the Dance on Film grant?
Quantitative impact. So how many views are you going to get? How many, it's some sort of, number or more data-driven results, I think is what we're looking for there.
I think this is about an eligibility from earlier, but does community mean Mississauga or community people anywhere?
Oh, that's probably for the touring words of meaning when we're talking about community impact. Yeah, so with our grants, we're really looking for Mississauga audiences and residents to benefit from the artistic endeavors. But in particular with the touring words of meaning, we're looking at even a smaller subset, not just Mississauga in general, but residents in a particular neighborhood, newcomers, people who have only been in Mississauga for a year, or certain demographics within.
I guess one last question, can the grants pay for artists' time, like artist fee?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I think that's it.
Okay, great. Have a little breather, and we'll move on to our fourth funding stream. These are from Matchmaker Microgrants, and these are a little bit different. So for the first three funding streams we talked about, we have a set amount of money that will be given to the grant winner to support the entire project. Our Matchmaker Microgrants are really intended to sort of top up what you already have, to improve what you can make or help you fund, finish funding a project. So that's what these ones are really about. As it says here, designed to help artists complete a project or provide career development support. You can receive up to $2,500 in matching funds for money raised by sponsorship, investment, resources, and or in-kind contributions provided by the artists themselves. We often get questions about the in-kind contributions. This is a term used for sort of voluntary services. So in-kind could mean, your friend has a garage and says, oh, your band can rehearse in my garage for free. Or it could be your friend who's a graphic designer who says, oh, I'll design your book cover for you for free. Don't worry about it. Those sorts of voluntary services. In the case of the Matchmaker grants, it could also be you volunteering your own time and not taking an artist fee. And so what you want for in-kind contributions, find an equivalent or a reasonable monetary amount to put in your budget. So if it's your friend is going to do your social media posts for you for $20 an hour for times 3 hours, then you'll put that amount in your budget, even if it's them volunteering that time. Hopefully that makes sense. I can take more questions after if you'd like. And really what these ones are looking for, we want some entrepreneurial sort of background to each of these projects. So as an artist, you found a business that wants to help, or you started a GoFundMe campaign and you're able to get a certain amount of money, and MAC is going to top it up so that you can do an even more impactful project. So with project support, it's dollar for dollar matching, 50% of the project up to $2,500. Our previous projects for this have included a couple of film productions. There's an album launch scheduled in September that was funded by a Matchmaker grant. We have a book publication coming out in May, virtual galleries. There's lots of different things. And we do have success stories on our page, mississaugaartscouncil.com/microgrants, for more ideas of what you can do with it. We've also, with our Matchmaker grants, we also supported a couple artists doing career development. So for these ones, they had a project, but it was more about them growing as an artist, whether it was, connecting them with a mentor to sort of grow their career to the next step. So we're also open to these if it's less of a tangible project and more of a sort of career growth. The Matchmaker grant stream is for you as well. Questions?
I have one this is about the Fusion one. So for part 2 of the Fusion grant, is it 100% animated, i.e. no live video footage?
That's a good question. And I think ultimately it's up to the creative brief of the musician in part 1. So lots of different options. And I think we're open to what it could be.
And then are there any guidelines of how much artists should be paying themselves for the artist fee, or is it self-determined?
I think it would be self-determined. It depends on the level of skills. I come from a classical music world where, everybody's teaching fees kind of range depending on what instrument and how in demand. Whatever makes sense and whatever is reasonable for you. If you're trying to pay yourself $100 an hour, I think our jury will probably look at that and question it. Also, if you're not paying yourself minimum wage, I think our jury would look at that and question, but anything in the middle is anything reasonable.
And I guess something to mention is that we also have we ask for a budget breakdown in the applications as well.
We do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and within your budget, there's always room. You can make notes, whether it's breaking down a fee that might be questionable or have multiple aspects to it. Again, for the in-kind support, you can kind of break it down and show where the number came from, and that'll definitely help the jury.
I have one that's matchmaker specific. Would visual exhibition support be eligible as career development for matchmaker? So like a visual exhibition, I believe online they're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. And I think because that's sort of a tangible project rather than, someone, career development is more, oh, I need some advice from this, or, maybe expanding your network or skills. Whereas an actual sort of virtual gallery presenting your own work, I think would absolutely be a project that would definitely count for our Matchmaker grants.
All right. I think we're good for now. So we're going to continue.
Okay. So a little bit more about matchmakers. I wanted to go into what's required for the submissions. So for all of our grants, all 3 of our microgrants plus our matchmaker grants, we do have online forms for each of them. And you can find the forms through our website, mississaugaartscouncil.com/microgrants. And they're also available, I believe, through the guidelines, which is a PDF you can download. But for our MAC MicroGrants, what we need from you, you'll go to the online form and we need applicant information. So this includes who you are, how to contact you, your CV, your resume, even a bio, if that's more available, and samples of your work, just so we know who you are, what you're capable of. We also need a detailed project description or project proposal. So this includes, who's involved in your project, what is your project, when is your project taking place, where does your project take place, why are you doing this project, how are you going to make this project happen, and any other relevant details that we should know about your project. We also need a detailed budget outlining all expenses and income. So the budget must show investment of funds or in-kind contributions from the artist, a sponsor, or other funder. We'll provide matching funds, but we're not going to support the entire project because we really want artists to go out and find revenue elsewhere as well. Again, that entrepreneurial, go make it happen. It says here for confirmed income sources, if you're in the middle of a GoFundMe campaign or, you have an application for another grant that you're waiting to find out, that's okay. Put it in. And again, just in the budget, let us know what that is. If it's a GoFundMe campaign and you're 80% of the way there, say, here's the goal. I'm 80% of the way there as of this date and, expect to meet my goal. Again, just the more information you can give, the more the jury has to go with. We're also looking for a detailed work schedule, including benchmark achievement dates and project completion date. If applicable, we're also looking for a detailed marketing and distribution plan for your project. This includes the plan for the launch, promotion of your project, and how you'll reach your target audience. And we also wanted to let people know that if this feels a little bit, out there, it's not in their wheelhouse, that's okay. We're here to help. And we can definitely, once your project is complete, do keep MAC in the loop. We'd love to be a part of any premieres or, if the day ever comes that we can do in-person events, we'd love to be there to support you when your project goes live. So do keep us posted. Any other questions about this, Sherry?
Yes, so I have a couple here. So which grant would be proper for already filmed music video before the pandemic, but didn't finish with editing, production, and publishing?
I would say that's probably a Matchmaker grant, because you can show that you've already put investment into the project. You've already put time, energy, and money into it, and you're looking for financial help to finish the project with the editing, et cetera. So I'd say that's probably your best funding stream.
Career development seems to prefer emerging talent. What if an older established writer needs to improve computer skills and update computer to finish a book in progress? Which grant would be best?
Again, the Matchmaker, the career development sounds like a really, great option. And in our guidelines, we said emerging professional artists are encouraged to apply, but if you're an established professional artist looking to build a new skill, I think that's absolutely relevant.
Great. Could the Matchmaker grant solely match the artist's in-kind donation of their time, or are applicants expected to have other streams of donation?
I think it's encouraged to find some sort of a financial sponsor, but if your half of the project is entirely you donating your time, I think that counts as well.
Okay, that's all the questions I have currently.
Wow, okay, we're just charging through here. Okay, so frequently asked questions. Will MAC review my application? We can only provide advice on the submission requirements and not on the content of your application. We encourage you to review the guidelines. And after reviewing the guidelines, if you have questions, you can reach out to admin@mississaugaartscouncil.com. And that's actually my personal email. So feel free to reach out anytime. I'm here to help. Again, if it's, should I apply for this stream or this stream, what makes the most sense? We can definitely have that conversation. But if you're asking me, oh, is this project good enough? I can't answer that because I'm not on the jury, right? MAC wants you to apply. We want the most applications we can to provide competition and get the best projects out there. So that's about all we can do. But yeah, if you have questions on what you need to provide for the application, we can absolutely review that with you. We've also had questions, can I email my supporting documents? This would be your CV, your work portfolio, other things like that. Absolutely. Links are encouraged, but you can absolutely email documents to me. Again, admin@mississaugaartscouncil.com. There is a spot in the application where you can fill in those links. If you don't have links, just say, I will be emailing my documents, and make sure that you have emailed them to me before the deadline. If you're emailing them to me, I promise to, send you a received thank you, so you'll know whether you've got the email to me in time. Again, any questions, just send them my way. So who do I contact for more information? you contact me. I'm admin@mississaugaartscouncil.com. My name's Susan, and I'm here for you if you have any questions, and I'm happy to help. All right, so we'll open it up. Are there other questions?
Yes, so I have one that's saying, are we able to know who's on the jury? Would be helpful to know jurors' backgrounds.
The answer is no, because we haven't selected our jury members yet. And I'm not sure. Sherry, in the past, have you published the jurors' names?
No, we have not in the past.
Okay. So assume that the jury are people who may or may not know you. I know for the Ontario Arts Council and Canada Council, they, with their grants, they say with the peer jury, assume that nobody on the jury knows who you are, and write your project proposal, write your bio as if they don't know who you are. You know, you're talking to a complete stranger. How do you present yourself to a complete stranger?
Sort of great. Can musicians submit more than one song just to be for the fusion, assuming they have different creative video storylines?
I believe that goes back to eligibility. You're only allowed to apply for one grant per phase.
Yes.
So in this case, you can only apply once. If you're a member of more than one band and you're applying as that band, then you can probably submit, you know, one song for band A and one song for band B, even though you play in both bands. I think that would be fine. But if you as an individual musician want to submit applications for 3 or 4 songs, that's not okay, only one.
Yeah. All right. Will recording of this be emailed to the participants? I can answer that. Yes, it will be. Hopefully soon. Hopefully tomorrow or the day afterwards. This is a question about jurors again. Will jurors be from our specific discipline or the communities at large?
That's a very good question. I know we actually had that come up at our board meeting, and one of our board members said she was on our jury the last time, and she loved it because the projects were so interesting. And as a non-practicing artist, she kind of had different eyes than artists within the same genre, and I think there's benefit to that. So we will want, especially for dance or literary, for those very specific ones, we will want someone who's involved in that artistic practice on the jury, but not everyone on the jury will necessarily be in your artistic practice.
Great. I have, for the matchmaker one, how much time do we have to complete our projects? Will we have that listed in the guidelines?
Right. It's not listed in the guidelines because every project is different. And so I know our last Matchmaker grants went out in, was it October, Sherry?
It was around early fall. Yeah.
So early fall. COVID really affected things. People, last fall we were so excited. Things were open a little bit. It felt like we had, possibility and things were going to happen. And then November, it came and locked us all down again. So I know a lot of projects were affected. We have some that are finishing up, one this month, and a few other projects that were delayed because of COVID. But one of our Matchmaker grant winners from last October, their original plan was to release an album this coming September. So I think the answer is it depends on the project. Don't apply for something that's 3 years out. Ideally, we want your project to be wrapped up within a year. But that's not a hard and fast rule.
I have another one that's saying what is required in the grant report. That would be in the guidelines. Yeah.
Absolutely. So basically in our grant, in the final report, if that's what you're asking about, we're kind of looking for what did you learn? How did it go? Give us some numbers. How many people watched your video? How many people attended your event? Links to your final project, if that's relevant, and also a final budget. Because, when we propose a project, ultimately money's going to have to shift a little bit, and we want to see how it was actually spent.
This would be regarding the grant application form. So 250, is that words or characters? And is that with or without spaces for the count?
Excellent. That is characters, so individual letters or spaces. Spaces do count. So 250 characters is probably only about 50 words. An average depends on if you like big words or small words. And the 500 character count is probably 75 to 100 words. So we're not asking for a lot.
I have another one that's specific. Finished a visual arts project with special needs adults. Can Matchmaker grant help in virtual display?
I think that's a great project. That would be probably a virtual gallery. And again, you're showing that the work is already there. And that sounds like a great Matchmaker project.
I don't see any other questions at the moment. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to also, oh, nope, there's more. Feel free to add them more to the chat. If I want to apply for the Matchmaker Microgrant for improving professional practice for emerging artists working with a mentor, would the artist need to have a mentor arranged and secured prior to applying?
Yes and no. If you have a mentor in mind, then absolutely reach out and give us, I want to work with this person and this is why. That's a really strong application. Our career development grants in the past, we actually did pair someone up with a mentor that we thought would be a really great coach for them. So that's not really a direct answer, but if you need max help finding a great mentor, we're absolutely willing to do that. But if you already have someone in mind, that's fine too.
Don't see any more at the moment. Here we go. Can payment in-kind contributions include past work of same artists on an earlier iteration of the project? So this would be in-kind contributions in the past that have been on the project currently.
Right. So I guess that would also mean sort of documenting in-kind contributions that have already occurred is probably where you're going with that. And yes, that absolutely counts. Anything that's already been put into the project, you can include in your budget.
Another question, in the professional opinion, how many pages should a CV be? Not to make it too long.
Yeah, that's a very good question. In this case, I think a page, 2 pages max. Again, our jury has to go through a lot of applications. They don't have, a day and a half to read through your 10-page CV. So keep it to the highlights, keep it to the important things. And you don't have to go into great detail. That said, if you're applying for, a big fancy position, they might be looking for something longer. So I think tailoring your CV, your bio, your resume to the application makes the most sense.
Great. I guess this is one question about the mentorship one, but can the mentor be someone online and who charges?
Yes. Again, just make it clear in the project what's involved and what that looks like. I mean, in this day and age, everything is online. I'm a bassoonist and I have a couple of students that I teach online. So it's definitely possible to do full online mentorship if that's part of your project.
I have another one. Is a short PowerPoint useful for the application packages?
Possibly. If that's like a PowerPoint showing your past work as part of your press kit, would absolutely make sense. A PowerPoint to support your project proposal, absolutely. Especially if it's a very visual project and you want to include some of that, I think it could definitely strengthen it.
Okay.
Not necessary. Don't feel you have to. I'm the worst at PowerPoint, so I would probably not choose to do that. But if that's a way that you like to express yourself, then absolutely.
That's all the questions I have currently at the moment. But if anybody has any other questions, we can answer them for the next little bit.
Yeah, we can absolutely stay on for a bit. I can also go back to other grants if you'd like to look at the guidelines again, or we can open up one of the application forms if people are interested in seeing what that looks like.
Yeah. Yes, paper saying that would be great if you want to go through them. You want to show them?
All right, so this is what the application form looks like for our Matchmaker grants. All of our other grants are very similar. It's a Google form, and it gives you a little bit of information about the grant. It links back to, surprise, surprise, our microgrant page on our website. Again, deadline is June 2nd. And so we go in, whoops. Great, and it won't let you not answer required questions. So you'll fill in your name, your contact information, your email, phone number, address. They won't be made public. It's just so Mac can contact you. You'll put in your project title. Here, clearly state what your project is. This is sort of, what's our awesome grant application? It's providing information will be involved. So in this case, it's not just me. I'd include Sherry's name. She's involved in this info session. Anyone who's going to be a part. So for the dance on film, perhaps, it's not just you as a dancer. Who's going to be filming it? Who's doing your choreography? All of those people we can include. Which community are you reaching? Are you intending, you can pick all of these. General public is fine. Other, you can fill in. Fill in what you need there. So here are the questions where we had a question about how many characters. And in this case, it does include spaces. So really, it's a pretty short answer. What impact will the work have on your target audience? How does this project contribute to a more arts-friendly city? How does this help Mississauga? What do you hope to achieve upon completion of the project? And will it positively impact your career? Information on how the funds will be matched. So specifically for the Matchmaker grant, we just want to know, maybe it's only in-kind contributions, maybe you have, an investor or an individual or a business who want to support your work. That's great, and you can include information about it here as well as in your budget. Here's the question, what's your estimated budget? If you prefer to submit sort of an Excel sheet or something, we can absolutely work with that. But if you just simply want to kind of do something like that, is perfectly fine. And you can explain what the costs are and how they're going to be used. What's your work plan? So in this case, what needs to happen? When does it need to happen by? Is anything reliant on something else happening? You can't edit the video until you've filmed it, type thing. So that's all included in this question. What's the marketing plan for your project? If it's something like career development, you might not have a marketing plan, and that's okay. That's not a problem. But if you're trying to create a music video and you want that music video to reach thousands of people, you're probably going to want a marketing plan, and you probably have already thought of that, and you'll be able to include it here. And here's the question with the support material. So this is where you put in links to your resume, CV, any support materials. If you're doing a PowerPoint presentation for what your project is, that would be here. Social media links, samples of your past work, anything that's gonna boost your project. Even another option we had in here was a reference letter. If you're just starting out and you're trying something new and you have someone who can say, I support I support Susan. I think she talks too fast, but she's lovely. That letter can absolutely be included here too. And if you want to email me the support materials, that's absolutely fine. In here, you'll just say, I will be except you'll probably spell it correctly. There we go. Just indicate that you're going to be emailing us the documents, and that's all you need for this question. Or provide us the links. And then just let us know that everything is true. The other one too, if you are a winner, we want to tell your story. We want to be able to share it on our website. We want to be able to promote your project. So hopefully you'll say yes, and then we'll be able to share your project if you're a winner. And then you'll hit submit. And it won't let me because I didn't fill everything in. So hopefully that was helpful to kind of walk through the application. We probably have some more questions, do we?
Mm-hmm. So some of the application questions say 250 words. Do they mean characters?
Yes. And that was a typo on my behalf. I take full responsibility and I will fix that today.
Thank you for pointing those to us.
That's actually a really great point. Any questions that you bring up now are only going to help us improve this for next time. If you find a typo, please let us know. Sherry and I have stared at these applications for, weeks and weeks, and we don't see the typos anymore. We see what we meant to write. So please feel free to let us know.
Thank you. Can we apply for building a professional website?
Sure. I think if you can show the matching funds, that sounds like a matchmaker project, and your website would then be beneficial to your career. And if you can show that it impacts the arts in Mississauga, then I think that would absolutely work in that category.
What about visual artists? Does it apply to either grants?
For visual artists right now,
Matchmaker.
For Matchmaker, for virtual galleries or for a website?
It just says, what about visual artists? Like, which grant should they apply to, basically?
Oh yeah, right now, absolutely. Matchmaker is open to all artistic practices. The other ones are a little bit more specific. But yeah, so right now our Matchmaker are open to anyone.
And the next question, for freelance artists, how do you define working in Mississauga?
That's a good question. And I think we might need to do a little more. In your application, explain how you're impacting Mississauga, how your work here is impacting the people here. And if you don't live here, but most of your work takes place in Mississauga, that's absolutely fine. And I think if you can make a good case for how your project will benefit Mississauga, we leave it up to the jury to decide.
Okay, one question. How many grants are given for the microgrants?
Microgrants. All right, our dance microgrant, we have one winner. Our touring words of meaning, again, we have one winner. The fusion grant, we're going to have one musician with one song, and then we'll pick one visual artist for phase 2. And our matchmaker grants are open. We have a pool of money, and it really depends on how much people request. We do have more than one matchmaker available, and we'll see who applies and how much they ask for, and we'll try and give as much money out as we can.
Great. Great. If you're unsuccessful applying for a grant, can you apply for a microgrant at a later time?
Yes, absolutely. So in our guidelines, again, this is something, it was brought up to us, and we're going to clarify it for next time. So what we're asking is only apply to one microgrant or matchmaker grant per phase. So if your project right now, if all you want to do is apply for touring words of meaning, fantastic, apply for that. If it's successful, congratulations, that's amazing. And if your project is going to take you until January next year, then you're not going to be eligible for phase 2, which is fine because you got the grant you wanted. But if you apply for Turing Words of Meaning and your project is wrapped up by the end of the summer, and then we announce phase 2, you can absolutely apply again in the fall for a new grant. And if you apply for a project in phase 1 and we're not able to give you money, then you can absolutely apply with a new project or the same project for phase 2.
Great. Pretty much answered this, but are the Matchmaker MicroGrants offered just once a year, or with phase 2, is there another chance to apply? So we pretty much went over that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking to do another phase 2 in the fall.
Can non-Mississauga resident artists who plan to shoot in locations in Mississauga with at least one local artist available for the grants?
Apply and we'll send it to the jury. I think ultimately we really need impact for the arts economy here in Mississauga. So if you're from Hamilton and you plan, a half-hour movie shoot in Mississauga, and then you're going back to Hamilton and you're not going to be releasing your project to Mississauga, that's probably not good enough. But if you're involving local artists, your videographer is from Mississauga, the editing is happening in Mississauga, you're releasing the video, and it's really, it's showing off Mississauga, it's really helping the arts in Mississauga, then I think there's a case to be made.
If someone is not successful in their first time applying, do we give feedback for ways to improve?
That's a good question. I think we'll see what we get from the jury. Some juries are happy to provide feedback, some are not. MAC might be able to help out. It really depends.
It depends.
Great. Yeah. We'll do what we can. However, we can't guarantee it.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I'm coming through. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much for Susan for your great information session.
Then on behalf of the Mississauga Arts Council, I would like to thank you for attending today's information session. I'm so excited for our grant program and can't wait to see your amazing projects through your microgrant applications. Just a reminder, all Phase 1 MicroGrant and Matchmaker Microgrant applications are due on Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021 by 5 p.m. No late applications will be accepted. Also make sure that any support materials have been received by that date and time. You can find more information about our grants at mississaugaartscouncil.com/microgrants. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, Susan Durnan, by email, admin@mississaugaartscouncil.com. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.